The Bible is a living word that reads us as we read it. It's a person, a voice that proves that time is not linear, as one sentence can confirm the past, guide the present, and declare the future. You are here. I am here. He is here. We are here. Right now. In the tomorrow of yesterday and in the yesterday of tomorrow. I thank you for joining today. So we're back. Thank you so much for joining once again. In our last episode, we talked about some big moves that David made after being crowned king of Israel. He paid the Jebusites a visit, and despite all of the noise that they were talking, he conquered Jerusalem and made it the capital city of his united kingdom. He also prioritized establishing a culture of worship by moving the Ark of the Covenant from the home of Abinadab to the capital city. David also conquered the Philistine territory of Gath, which was no small feat. He defeated the Moabites and he put some real pressure on the Ammonites. His surrounding enemies were becoming neutralized. Things were really starting to settle for David. One day he expressed to Nathan the prophet that he had a desire to build a house for the Lord. Nathan relayed a message to David that the Lord was actually more interested in building a house for David, an everlasting dynasty which pointed to Christ, the Messiah. One spring, while David's men surrounded the Ammonite territory of Rabbah, they were preparing for a takeover. David found his time better spent staying back in Jerusalem, had himself a little staycation. After a good old afternoon nap one day, he took a casual stroll on the roof of his palace. Now, his palace was situated on high ground, which gave him the ability to look out and see pretty much everything. He could see the Kidron Valley, the city, the courtyard, the homes of surrounding residents. He even caught a glimpse of a woman bathing. Now, you ever seen something that looks so good you had to question the integrity of your eyeballs? David did a few double takes. He drank in every detail. Then he called for one of his men. Yo, come here. You know who that is? The servant's looking like, Now hold on now. Don't be staring too long. No, I can't say I know who that is. Well, go find out about her. As you can imagine, not just anyone was allowed to live in close proximity to the king's palace. Only the upper echelon, the royal family, high-ranking court officials, the royal guard, military officials, and the likes were allowed to live that close to the king's palace. That being said, it wouldn't have been a surprise or a shocker to David when the servant returned and reported, I did some asking around. I found out that little shawty is Uriah's wife, Bathsheba. You know, Eliam's daughter. Now let me pause right there. Let's take it back real quick. Remember when Saul was after David? David was on the run. He escaped to the cave of Adullam. Soon after, his brothers, all his kinfolk and them, they joined him there. And after a while, others started dropping in, including 400 men who were in trouble, in debt, or were just simply unhappy with things as they were. David became their commander and they rallied around him. Now, hear me when I say this. These guys were loyal to David before he was crowned king. This was at a time when the price for treason against the king, which was Saul at the time, was death penalty. And we know that Saul was not stable-minded and would have very easily executed any one of them. Now, amongst the 400 men, David had some MVPs. There were 3 guys that were called his mightiest warriors, and these guys were bad to the bone. He also had a little over 30 other men that were pretty cold-blooded. These guys stood out to David. They proved that they had what it took to stand with the giant slayer. Amongst these 30-plus men were listed 2 that I want to point out. One was a man named Uriah. Another was a man named Eliam, the son of Ahithophel. Now, there is some debate about whether or not Bathsheba's daddy is the same Eliam listed amongst David's mighty men. However, we are clear on the fact that Bathsheba's husband was certainly one of them. That being said, when the servant went to David and said, Yo, that's Uriah's wife, it is highly unlikely that Uriah's face didn't pop up in David's mind when he said that. David knew this man. And so the drama begins. Rather than David saying, Man, I didn't know Uriah had a baddie like that, and then just going on about his business and spending time with one of his 6 wives, what David actually did was he said, Yeah, bring her here. Now, I do not envy the role of the messenger. I imagine that he bit his tongue, choked on disappointment, and said to himself, What you mean, bring her here? You didn't just hear me say that's Uriah's wife? Like, you don't already have more than enough as it is. But of course, he didn't say that. He did what he was told. Now, in the same spirit that some people will blame a man's lack of self control on a woman's outfit, some people say that David was provoked because Bathsheba was bathing on the roof. To those people, I say, go back and read the story again because it does not say that Bathsheba was bathing on the roof. It says that she was minding her business, taking a bath. She was completing the purification rites after her monthly flow. And that David, who was on his roof, had a vantage point that allowed him to see her bathing. Never said that she was on the roof. Messengers went to go get Bathsheba. The king would like to see you. Me? Yes, we'll take you to him. Now, we're not given a view into Bathsheba's mind as she journeyed from her place to the king's palace. We have no way of knowing if she was concerned that something may have happened to her husband. We don't know if she knew what would happen next. We don't know if she consented, if she resisted. What we do know is that when David finished what he set out to accomplish by sending for her in the first place, Bathsheba returned home, and sometime later, she repaid him the favor. A messenger delivering a message that would change everything for him. A message that set into motion a series of events that will have you questioning David's anointing. I look forward to sharing more about a very pivotal time in David's reign as king in our next episode, if the Lord blesses me to record another one. Thank you again for your support, your love, your encouragement, your time. Until next time, bye for now.